Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be solving absolute value inequalities. So it's going to be inequalities that include those absolute value functions that we talked about the other day. So if you remember from our last lesson, whenever we had the letter in the middle with numbers on either side, we called that an and inequality, okay? This one was an or because it has the or with two separate equations. And we're going to use that fact here to help us solve these. We're going to try to make these look like this because if I can make it look like this, I can do what I did on the last lesson and just solve it like that, okay? So here what I see is this says the absolute value of x plus 2 is greater than 4. Greater, we're going to turn it into an or equation. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to first make it look like this. We're going to write it exactly the same way, but without the absolute value bar. So this first one is going to say x plus 2 is greater than 4. So all I did was just drop the absolute value bars and rewrote this down. Then I'm going to put that or, and all I'm going to do is rewrite this first part with no absolute value bars, so x plus 2. And then what I have to do is I have to switch the direction of this inequality and make this negative. So just like when we were solving the other absolute value equations, you're always going to make this one negative. So this is going to flip like this, and then I'm going to put a negative 4 there, okay? And just like what we did in the last lesson, all I'm going to do is solve each of these separately. So I'm going to go here. This says x plus 2. Remember, we can think of this as an equal if that helps us. So equals 4. How am I going to solve that? I'm just going to go minus 2, minus 2. So this says x greater than 2, okay? I can bring my or down. And then again, I'm going to solve this one separately. So again, this says x plus 2 less than negative 4. How am I going to solve this? I'm going to go minus 2, minus 2. So this says x, this, and then negative 4 minus 2. Be careful. What is that going to give me? That's going to give me a negative 6. Okay? Now all I'm going to do is go ahead and graph this. So again, I'm going to draw my number line. Remember, the smaller number goes on the left side. So what's smaller, 2 or negative 6? Well, negative is always smaller than a positive, so that negative 6 is going to go over here, and then the 2 is going to go right there. Okay? Now, on this one, both of my letters on the left-hand side of my inequality, so I can use my little arrow trick. Oh, sorry, before we do that, we have to do our circles. So again, I'm going to look here at these inequalities. For this 2, is there a line underneath, or is there not a line underneath? There's no line underneath here, so I'll go ahead and going to give me an open circle. Here, I look here at this one, line underneath or no line underneath. No line underneath, so again, that's going to give me an open circle. Okay, now we're ready to do our shading. So again, since the letter's on the left-hand side, I can go ahead and use my little arrow trick. So which way is this arrow pointing? It's pointing that direction. So I'm going to go to the 2 and shade in that direction. Here, the arrow's pointing in that direction. So again, I'm going to go to that negative 6 and I'm going to shade in that direction. Okay, and then again, this is what I'm looking for as an answer. Okay? Now, for this one, I see that it's going the opposite direction. So let's see what this says. This says the absolute value of 2x minus 1 is less than or equal to 5. Less than, I'm going to make it into an and equation. I'm going to make it look like this, where I'm going to put that letter in the middle. Okay? So the way I'm going to do that is the number that goes on the left-hand side. We're always going to look here. This is a positive 5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number and make it negative and put it over here on this left-hand side. So that 5 becomes a negative 5 out front. I'm going to keep this the same, bring that down, same direction. Then I'm going to put this in the middle with no absolute value bar. So I'm going to go 2x minus 1. And then I'm going to bring this guy, again, down straight here. So this goes down straight here. So all I did was move this out to the front, made it negative, kept this, and then basically just rewrote that here with no absolute value sign. Okay? Now, again, I'm going to solve this just like I did on the last lesson. So again, to help me, you don't have to do this, but I like to, it helps me. So I'm going to cover up that first part and think of this as an equal sign. So this says 2x minus 1 equals 5. How do I solve that? Well, I'm going to go plus 1 here. But don't forget, you have this guy over here. So if I go plus 1 here, I have to go plus 1 here. Negative 5 plus 1, what's that going to give me? Be careful here. That's going to give me a negative 4. Less than or equal to, this crosses off, so this 2x just comes straight down, and then this 5 plus 1 gives me a 6. Okay? Now, keep solving. Again, for me, I'm going to cover this up. It helps me. So how am I going to, this 2 and this x are multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplying? dividing. So I'm going to divide by 2 here, divide by 2 here. But don't forget you have this guy sitting out front, so I have to divide by 2 here. Negative 4 divided by 2 is going to give me a negative 2. Now, here we didn't divide by a negative number. Our answer was negative, but we didn't divide by a negative number, so we're not going to switch anything. Only when you're dividing or multiplying by a negative number are you going to switch these. If the answer is negative, that's fine. You're just going to leave it alone. But if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative, that's when you're going to switch. So then this goes like this. This crosses off, so I'm left with just x, and then this is going to give me a 3. So I'm going to graph this now. Again, what's smaller, negative 2 or 3? Well, the negative 2 is smaller, so I'm going to put that here. And then the 3 goes here. Okay? Now, again, I'm going to look at my arrows. Do I have a line underneath or no line underneath? Here I have a line underneath, so this is going to be a closed circle. Same thing with the 3, line underneath, no line. I got a line, so I'm going to give me a closed circle again. And where is my x compared to these two numbers? It's in the middle, so where am I going to shade? In the middle. Okay? And that's the answer for this one. So remember, what we're doing is we're taking these and we're going to try to translate them into things that look like this. If it's greater, we're going to turn it into an or, like this. If it's less than and, we're going to make it like this, where all I did was bring this to the front, made it negative, and brought the rest of this down, and then solve it like that. Okay? That's what we got for today. Let's go.